Morning all. How are we doing? Happy Tuesday. Everybody have a good Easter break. Morning Diamond, morning Andy, morning Franco. What a long break. Does anybody remember how to do this trading thing? Completely forgotten. I think you just hit the buttons and hope. Anyway, we'll see. We've got 8 minutes to the market opens. Main mover this morning is the yen. Huge moves on the yen. Kuroda basically came on last night and destroyed the yen. So basically, the crux of it was the yen is really weak and it's really bad for us to have a weak yen. So he basically just said that, a weak yen is not good for us. So I think that was the one. Can't remember which one it was I read, but one of them said basically a weak yen has more disadvantages than advantages. So basically the market went, oh dear, the yen's in trouble. We better get out of it. So the yen's collapsed. Even more than it was collapsing before. So yeah, as you can see, ADR's lit up across the board on the yen pairs this morning. 150s, 200s already pretty much there. CAD yen being the strongest of the lot at the moment, almost 200 ADR. So yeah, big moves on the yen. News-wise, I'll quickly cover the news before we start the DAX. So news basically this morning, today rather, we have very little. We had the Australian monetary policy meeting minutes this morning. We've got Jordan speaking later on this afternoon, but apart from that, there's nothing else happening today news-wise. Obviously, Russia's started the next level of invasion in Ukraine. They're starting to go into the Donbass with the vast majority of the Russian forces. So we could see some news coming this week regarding the war as well. So obviously, you have to be aware of that. You can't tell when that's going to happen, but it will obviously have an impact on the market when it does. So news-wise this week, we are very light on news, which is nice. It's just normal market conditions. 1:30, we've got CPI for the CAD tomorrow, and then New Zealand dollar CPI overnight. Thursday, we've got Bailey speaking, which is just talking head, and then we've got Powell speaking on Thursday. So just talking heads on Thursday. And then Friday, we've got PMIs. So very, very weak news week this week. Mainly talking head based, CPIs, that sort of stuff. So it should just be normal market manipulation. There's nothing dramatic that's going to drive currencies in one way or the other. Peter, the yen is doomed, I fear. Yes, it is doomed at the moment. Yen's as bad as, well, it's obviously way worse than the euro. This is a short-term move, though. This yen is, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in our 6th week of weakness. We had 1 week of strength in the yen, but this is our 6th week on the trot of weakness with the yen. And obviously, it started very, very weak today. So I'm in a trade on the DAX on my other account. I'm just monitoring it. I'm just about to go out break even on it in a minute. So yeah, it's weak, but obviously when you compare it to something like the euro, which has been coming down forever, it's the weakest currency at the moment. There we go, break even on that one. But it is just starting weak. Basically, so there's a good chance that this could be a temporary weakening and they will start to strengthen it back up again. There's a lot going on with this yen that I think will sort of mean we'll get a decent pullback. I can't see them letting it drift much further than it is at the moment, but you never know. Kuroda's come out this morning and just said it's not good for our currency for it to be so weak. It's like, state the obvious, and the market completely overreacts to it. But there's an awful lot of plans in place for them to bolster the yen as well. So got that sell stop I'm going to get rid of now. Don't need that anymore. So yeah, it could well be sort of a temporary thing. When I say temporary, I'm talking like quarters rather than years. But we'll have to wait and see with it. Nothing we can do about it. It's just off. So from a mean reversion perspective, it looks beautiful, but it's looked beautiful for weeks. So it's not the greatest thing in the world to be trading at the moment. The yen. I'm joining you from Das Bunker. I was transferred last week to this Stonehenge armpit project area. From 3 screens reduced to 1 laptop. You only need 1 laptop to trade, really. 1 screen's enough. Many screens is just lazy. I have many screens, so I don't have to bother flicking charts. It's the only reason, just keeping an eye on everything in general, but you don't really need more than 1 screen. Right, so yens, we'll have a look at all of the FX pairs in a minute. Euro Swiss I've still got on from last week. That's the only trade I've got running at the moment. Euro Swiss hasn't gone anywhere since I got into it. I got into it on Thursday last week, I think. And obviously since Thursday last week, we've basically gone nowhere. So I'm still in that short. I took some profit off down here. I've got 2 positions running on it short at the moment. Break even down there. So well within an ADR on it. But I've also got a stop up here. I'm going to get out if it shoots out to the highs today. Right, DAX. Let's have a quick look at the indices where we are. So obviously, just to remind myself what the hell's going on, because it's been ages. So Thursday last week, we had a rotation day. Pretty much rotated on Wednesday as well. So from a daily perspective on the DAX, we haven't gone anywhere, have we? So we're stuck in that candle there at the moment. In fact, market's open. Sorry, why are you not grabbing that line? What? Oh, fine, grab that bit then. So that's really our range at the moment. This candle here, we've been stuck in that range for now a week, just over a week. Nice flush down at the open there. So looking basically to see if we can get some movement out of this range and potentially movement to the downside, which it seems to be doing very nicely this morning at the start. Jesus. Big push down across the board. So looking for more continuation movement to the downside on all indices today. So DAX, very nice. The Nasdaq, very nice drop. S&P dropping very nicely and orderly. Dow, not quite so much. Much more range bound on the Dow at the moment. Wow. That's really going for it this morning. So I'm just going to take off auto trading on the opening range. I'm not trading that. Blimey, it's fallen out of bed, isn't it? They obviously don't like the what's going on in Russia at the moment. So looking for shorts at the moment today. Kind of missed it. Big move. One screen has forced you to focus. Yeah, good. If you think about it, when you're trading, you're only watching one screen. You can watch 2 time frames, but you're only watching one screen. I'm aware of all the other screens I've got around me and what's going on with everything else, but I'm focusing on this. So, and obviously, it's very easy just to have a look quickly what's going on with the euro. Let's flick through it. Yeah, it's very easy to flick through, see what's going on. So we just tapped down into the lows of that candle that's sort of holding up at the moment. Let's get rid of that line. Don't need that line. I'm just looking for levels, basically. It's very difficult to pick levels because obviously we've just been sitting sideways, and the last couple of days we've gone nowhere. We went nowhere in the run-up to the bank holiday, so today is a kind of fresh day. It could really do what it likes today, so we'll just monitor it at the open and see where it goes. Morning, Stevie. So who ate way too much chocolate over the weekend? I know I did. Went out on a large mountain bike yesterday, try and get rid of some. Then came back and finished off the chocolate. So it had absolutely no use whatsoever. Okay, so we've completely undone that move at the open, pretty much. Going short one. So basically looking for breakdown, pullback, drop this morning. Could obviously fly completely the opposite direction, but I'm looking for shorts. So looking at this being pullback on that initial move. Turkey. You ate lots of turkey. Morning, Tammy. Still more balls coming back in. Yeah, and it was hot this weekend as well, wasn't it? Well, it was in the UK anyway. I've definitely got a red nose. Way too much sun. 27 degrees here in the south of Spain. Yeah, your back's like a lobster. Yeah, we didn't quite get 27 degrees. Managed to get up to about 17, which for April in the UK is not bad. One chocolate bunny. I prefer to get my indulgence carry some wine. Yes, that's much better. Wine's much more fun than chocolate. Wine and chocolate is double the fun, obviously, but just better get stopped out on this one. So there's our opening range. That whacking great candle there. Very big move. It's going long one. So we've completely rejected that push lower at the moment. So I'm just going to try a long. See if we're just going to fly at the highs. It might be one of those horrible range-bound opens, but we'll see. Some beautiful weather here in the south of France. Started getting the pool ready for spring. Very nice. That's just a very deep pullback, potentially, that, but we'll see. It's going to be one of those days today, by the looks of things. If this doesn't turn around and fly up. Yeah, we'll have a look at the FX pairs in a bit. Let's just wait for this open. I was kind of looking for a sort of strong open this morning. That was a big push, obviously, that candle. But, Christ, here we go. I was kind of looking for more of a move in one direction rather than a whipsaw. But it looks like we're getting a whipsaw this morning. At the minute, anyway. It's a good start. $800 loss at the open. Not bad. Okay, going long one on the DAX. So basically looking for market structure long. This should be the lows if we are going to go long. What's my average percent monthly gain? Don't know. 10 to 15% average. Depends what you're talking about. Position trading, somewhere in the region of 10 to 15% is an average month. Bad month, 3 to 5%. Good month, 20 plus. Scalping, 50%. Depends what my account size is. Really? Oh, Christ. Make your mind up. Don't seem to have any direction this morning. So I just widened my stop a little bit just to give this a bit more breathing room. If we're going to whipsaw today, I'm just going to give this a bit of room to move. If I lose 1.5% at the open, I'll jack that in for this morning, I think. My funded account is in danger of going pop if I carry on doing this morning. I've gone in a bit too large this morning. Should really go in short considering I haven't traded for 4 days. So. Do you have the market reversal on TradingView? No, don't use TradingView. Christ. S&P and the Nasdaq pushing down on the open. Oh my God, there's loads of sellers coming in. And the Dow. We are just down to lows though. Globex lows. Approaching on the S&P. Nasdaq, we're not down there yet. Blimey. It's going to be a costly morning. No daily top wick, so expect it to go up. What are you talking about? The DAX? DAX has got a wick. Everything's got a wick on the indices. Well, that just came within about 2 pips of my stop on my other account. It's very whippy today at the moment. I'm kind of hoping this is a bull flag, but doesn't look like it. There's no buying and selling coming in. The market's... Oh, there you go. Now it's stopped me out. Right. Market's... was completely dead and flat then, but now it's woken up a little bit. Okay, closing that out as well. There's no directional bias at the minute, so this is just whipsaw at the moment. I'm going to wait, I think. There we go. Now we've got some movement. I've just flipped short on my funded account. Only because I've just lost 600 at the open. So I'm just looking to recoup some of that with a couple of shorts. Just watching what happens to these lows. Jesus, can you see that on the screen? What's all that? Oh, weird. My pen just went mad. Just drew a load of rubbish all over the screen then. Just watching these this opening range low just to see what we get down there, whether we get double bottom or not. S&P and the Nasdaq both come out of the lows. So is the Dow. DAX is struggling a little bit this morning to go lower. I am looking for a down day though, so which is obviously the original opening idea before I got stopped out. There we go, we're out of the lows now. All right, I'm going to let those 2 shorts run. So I've got 2 shorts running. Can't see it on this. I should have really taken it on this one as well, but I've got 2 shorts running on the DAX from there, which I'm just going to protect at those highs. Right, let's have a look at the FX pairs. My Forex funds and trading views show no top wick. No, because they've got, that's a different feed. So that's the actual market itself. I think you trade what you see basically on your charts. Don't trade other people's charts. Trade what you see. If you're using a charting platform, stick to that charting platform. If you're going to use technical analysis and price action trading, you need to trade the price action and the technical analysis you see on your chart. If you have 3 different charts showing you 3 different pieces of information, you can't trade. You'll just be completely confused. So pick one and stick with it if you're going to trade indices. Anything really. So I'm just watching this, trying to... the DAX is way behind the others today from a strength perspective. The US markets have opened very, very, very weak. The DAX has opened weak, obviously, but we're not getting anywhere near as much movement to the downside on the DAX as we are on the other indices. Seems to be trailing quite considerably this morning. Yen dropping. Yeah, yen's coming down. That's good. Well, it's good if you short the yen, obviously. Yeah, some strength coming through on the yen now. Might find it's a bit of a funny open today because obviously we've had no trading for 4 days. So there's an awful lot of market. I mean, the market was open yesterday afternoon, but there's no real liquidity in the market yesterday because it was one of those weird days where there's only a couple of participants. So let that run. I've done with shorting yen everywhere. I think the yen is going to power up at some point soon. It's just at the moment it doesn't seem to have it. Obviously, it's very, 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 very weak at the minute. But I think we are going to get some strength coming through on it. I would have expected it before now, though. That's what concerns me about the yen. But if you look at where we are at the moment, that's a lovely liquidity run they've pushed up this morning to grab. So this could be it. Today could be the day. Do I want to take that? No, I'm going to leave that running. Right, let's have a look at the FX pairs. So DAX, basically we've just got an opening range breakout to the lows. So looking for a pullback and look for some shorts on that. Don't pull back too far. So watch the 20 and the 50. Anywhere in that area. We're looking for shorts. Potentially even up to there. There's quite a few buyers coming in now. Hopefully this isn't a fake move to the downside. Fake false breakout. But we'll see. Comments overnight from Japan should be yen positive. Well, Kuroda turned around and said this is really bad for us. But however, how you read that or how the market reads that, it's difficult to say. Basically just said that this yen weakness is very bad for the yen, which is kind of stating the obvious, isn't it? So, but the yen has been the Kuroda's put very, very good plans in place to escape their economic issues at the minute. Problem is, all the time they're consistently buying bonds and things to prop up their currency, and the currency is declining. It's just putting them further and further into debt. It's like the ultimate hedge, same as Europe's been doing. Europe's been buying up, basically to prop up the euro. The euro's been collapsing, so they've been buying something that's been depreciating, which means they're just buying themselves into a poorer position all the time, which is why the euro is continuing to crash, and the yen is the same. They're in the same situation with the yen. But there are plans in place to get out of it. So we will see. I'm sure it'll correct itself soon. They can't let it depreciate too much because trade will be hit, which they do not want, obviously, because that will hurt them even more. Weak yen is bad, so therefore we will be supporting it in the market through CB intervention. Yeah, they've got lots of plans in place. Whether or not they will do anything there, we will see. Right. So I'm just holding this short on the DAX. It's roughly about where I am. So I'm just going to take a short on this account as well there. And I'm getting another short added down there if we push down. Right. So ADRs today, Aussie dollar yen, all the yens obviously. So everything's come off of ADR very nicely, off of a ADR level very nicely. So we've pushed up massively to 150 ADR on the Aussie dollar yen. The CAD yen, same thing, almost up to 200 ADR. Swiss yen, 150 ADR. Euro yen. So they've all pushed up. We've just had reversal alerts on M5 on all of these, and we're just pushing back up, hopefully to retest before we drop on these now. So very big, strong moves. A lot of these have hit levels or have approached levels as well of interest. So the US dollar yen is really the only yen pair at the moment that, Jesus, what is that? Oh, there's something, I got something wrong with my machine this morning. Every now and again, it just draws a load of crap over the screen. I think it's something to do with EpicPen malfunctioning. But US dollar yen is the only one really that has massively pushed out. So with the yen pairs, we had that big, strong move. And then we had the yen starting to strengthen up, and everyone was like, yeah, this looks like it. And then it didn't. It just went sort of ground back upwards for a week. A lot of these we were waiting for a double top bounce, and the US dollar yen got there, and that was the one that slammed through it. A lot of these other yen pairs, we've got nowhere near it yet. So there's our high. We haven't actually managed for the last 2 weeks to make it up to that high, and we're waiting for that high to get attacked again for a double top bounce. Pound yen shot out of it last week as well. And the euro yen has just done it this morning. So a lot of these levels are being breached now, which indicates potentially that obviously this is just going to continue to grind up. But equally, there is a lot of levels which have been run as well. So there's obviously the other argument where we've just done a liquidity run on a lot of these and we're going to drop. But it's all to do with the yen strength, and we have no idea when that yen strength is going to start to come through, have we? So at the moment, the yen's very difficult to trade. It looks like a beautiful short across multiple instruments. It's flown out the top, but it's flown out the top before, and it got embedded for weeks. So why is this not going to be the second run of that? You just don't know, do you? So for the moment, I'd steer clear of the yen unless you're trading on very small time frames, and look for obviously things like ADR reversals. So got a beautiful ADR reversal there, retest, drop, but don't look for drops much further than support resistance levels at the moment if you're going to be shorting them. So it's pushing up again, indices. We look like we've got some reversals starting to kick in on the indices. Just monitoring them a minute. We'll have a look in a sec. So yeah, with all these yens, so I'm just trying to concentrate on multiple things at the same time, which is always very difficult. If you look at these on a 1 minute chart, we've got nice W's starting to form. S&P. So there's reversal patterns starting to form across all the indices at the moment. Dow is even stronger. So I'm just watching my short because I don't really want to go a couple of grand down on the start of the week, but just seeing if we get a reversal alert on the DAX. I'm hoping we're just going to reject this level and then go for new lows, but we'll see. Anyway, sorry, diversifying myself. So that's all the ADRs we've had today. All yen based, mostly. The only other thing that we've had that is not yen based is the CAD Swiss. So just zoom out. CAD Swiss, obviously, we had this big gap down this morning. So whenever you get an ADR hit, you need to check for gaps. These are broker gaps. This isn't the market gapping. This is a broker gap. The market didn't just suddenly dump that much within 1 minute. The broker widened the spread. So this isn't really an ADR hit, this one. It's a nice push up, nice reversal up there, but it's not really an ADR hit, so we can kind of ignore that one. Right, so that's all your ADRs today. As I say, all yen based, all starting to pull off the highs very, very nicely, but it's the yen, so you are kind of shorting a steam train at the minute. At some point that is going to turn around and it will power up the yen, but it's a timing thing. You can't time this, so you just got to be very careful. Any shorts you're taking are obviously very counter trend at the moment, so look for areas of support and resistance on the way down, and sort of accumulation pushes that potentially price is going to find support at, and those should really be your initial targets until we start to see some kind of market structure coming into the downside. Then obviously we can start to look for shorts proper on it, but at the moment it's massively bullish, and we've just come out of an accumulation on a lot of these and a pullback, so it's just very difficult. This is either a liquidity run or it's a breakout. Just don't know, do you, until it's actually happened, unfortunately. Otherwise we'd all be millionaires. Loads of ADR, RSIs across the board. Vast majority of these obviously are yen based as well. There's a few that aren't though. So we'll have a look at the 4 hours to start off with. So Aussie dollar CAD, beautiful bounce off of the 72. So the quarterly moving averages. This morning basically that's happened. So we had this big strong drop last week, and we've just found support at the 72 and at that previous high where we pushed up and rejected from and then slammed through. So that's not a bad support level. And the Aussie dollar, I haven't looked at the COT report this morning for a reason, because the COT report is all over the place at the moment, so I'm not really bothering with the COT at the minute. But Aussie dollar obviously has been very strong, as you can see. We've got a decent amount of strength on the Aussie, which at the moment is just kind of slowed down a little bit. So I've been much more inclined to take longs than shorts. This is a lovely bounce spot, and we're very nicely extended. So we're in the same territory as here. We should be seeing a next leg up. So look for something like a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks worth of movement to the upside on it. That's going to be based on obviously what happens with the Canadian dollar as well. There's nothing really that should be impacting the Canadian dollar coming up this week, but you never know. So we've got obviously war happening at the moment, and that's kind of driving everything at the minute. So whatever happens with oil really is going to affect the CAD. So if we suddenly have big changes in energy supply again over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, then that could have an impact on this. But other than that, Australian dollar is along at the moment. Aussie and the New Zealand have come out the best out of this conflict. They've had the most success since the war started. Everybody seems to have been piling into the Aussie and the New Zealand long, and as you can see, that's bolstered both of those currencies. They're very similar, the Aussie and the New Zealand. They move together a lot of the time, so you want to be looking for similar sorts of patterns across them. So Aussie CAD, lovely looking opportunity for a long there, dropping down onto lower time frames. You had a reversal alert this morning in the Asian session, and we're just pushing up. We are pushing up at the moment straight into potential resistance. So there's quite a few resistance points on the Aussie CAD that we've had over this last week, where we've had this bit of a drop. So we've got to bash through those basically to get new highs in. But yeah, spot on the 4 hour, nicely extended to the downside, and reversal alert miles away on the hourly. So 15 minute and 5 minute, obviously you've had the alerts on those. So potentially looking for long opportunities on those ones. So that's a nice looking long opportunity, Aussie dollar CAD. Aussie dollar yen, again it's a yen pair. This is one of the ones that's potentially doing a liquidity run. Whichever, all of these yens basically, they're extended. You can kind of forget the other currency that it's crossed with. If the yen is going to power up, it's going to power up and it's going to destroy everything. So there won't be anything that gets in the way of the yen, no matter how strong it is. So if we do get that rush on the yen, the buying will start and the yen will just push everything down against it. So you can forget really that the fact that the Australian dollar is strong at the moment. If the yen powers up, that thing's going to fly. So it will obviously go a lot faster against weak currencies. So things like the euro, the pound at the moment, those would be the ones which will drop the quickest. But all of these yens, obviously, as you can see on the 4 hour, we are extended, but you are counter trend. So from a mean reversion point of view, what we're looking for in mean reversion trades is a strong push and then a profit take move. This is not a strong push. This is an accumulation breakout. So the fact that that's extended on the 4 hour doesn't mean that we're going to get a profit take move on this. It means that we haven't gone anywhere. We've just had a load of money dumped, and obviously the wrong way at the moment for the yen. So not the greatest entry in the world. It's only just got extended on the 4 hour. It's just about to light up the 75 as well. So we're going to jump up to here, but there's much better yen pairs at the moment. The ones that have been pushing, like the US dollar yen and the pound yen. So CAD Swiss is the other one that's extended. Some selling starting to come through on the indices. So CAD Swiss, very, very similar situation. That's your high we've just broken out of. We've got another high drawn on here, which is a daily level. So there's a few levels I've got drawn on here, but we are approaching area of potential congestion up here. So these highs here, that's where we first initially rejected. We're testing again these levels, so potentially this is putting in a lovely M pattern short CAD Swiss. The Swiss franc at the moment is very, very not very weak. It's just not got any strength. It's a bit neutral at the minute. It's been pushed around a lot because of what's going on in Ukraine. The banking sector's been hit quite badly. Obviously, Swiss banking is very big, which is why we've had so much weakness in the pound as well. Obviously 80% of the transactions go through London. We've just shut off one of the main countries that used to trade through there. So the Swissy is very, very weak at the moment. This is being pushed around a lot by the CAD. So whatever the CAD's doing, the CAD's able to do very, very free and easily against the Swiss franc. So with this one, it's very nicely extended on the 4 hour to the upside. There is a chance that we were just going to go back into a kind of range bound move on this. You can see we pushed up range bound, had a little pop out, came back into the range. We've stuck in that range. I think we're probably going to return somewhere back down into this area. So it is a good looking short, but where it's going to bounce and where it's going to find support, it's very difficult to pick. There's an awful lot of levels down here that potentially we could use as support. So if you're going to short this one, don't get too excited. It's not going to be a reversal. I don't think. It's more likely going to be just a pullback somewhere into a support level. But it is nicely extended. We're above the 75, but look what happened last time. We had a flag breakout. So you could find we just flag again, just down to here. So it's possibly not the best opportunity in the world at the moment. Nice shorts coming in at the moment on the indices. We're just about to make new lows on the S&P and the Nasdaq. We were thinking about it. We haven't, but we're thinking about it. So yeah, there's CAD Swiss. CAD Yen, obviously off to the moon. Swiss Yen off to the moon. So again, all these yen pairs are the same. If you're going to take them, you need to be treating them as counter trend trades. So if you're wrong, you want to be covering them fairly quickly to make sure that you don't get destroyed if they do pop up onto another leg. So CAD yen is the probably the most extended, apart from the pound yen and the US dollar yen at the minute. So again, we've got 200% ADR hit. That's too much for a liquidity run. A liquidity run would usually be somewhere around half an ADR to an ADR. That's 172 pips on an 80 ADR. So that's 2 ADR push to the upside we just got there. So that's a massive, massive push. Big drop coming on the indices at the minute. You can probably hear in the background. We've got new lows on the S&P, new lows on the Nasdaq. I think we've got new lows on the Dow. Yep. God, what is that? You can see these little dots just appeared all over the screen, yeah? It's really weird. And then I put my pen on and they vanish. So it's definitely something to do with Epic Pen. Blowing up my my monitors. So yeah, so big, strong push. It's too far for a liquidity to run, and this has been a very, very, very slow grind, which we've basically just accelerated out of. So I'd be looking for a pullback and potentially a continuation. That's what I mean. We need a reversal alert on this, and then a kind of retest of that. That's kind of when I would say, right, now the yen looks like it's going to power up. Now we're going to get some strength coming through on this. At the moment, all we do is we pull back into lows or into support resistance and basically just keep bouncing, don't we? The thing just does not want to come down at all. So just be very careful if you're going to short these. ADRs, like today, obviously that's the first reversal alert you've had on this. So that's what you're looking for, basically. Massive extensions, wait for those reversal alerts, retests and drops, but just be careful. Watch for where they're heading and be ready to get out fairly quickly. So I'm just watching what's happening with these indices. Just approaching support on the DAX. Nine, 669. So I'm just sorry, 1 second. Okay, so this is where I'd be watching the DAX somewhere down to there. Failing that, obviously, we'll be coming down to ADR, but I was just seeing if there was anything in the way at the moment. Potentially the low, that high there, could be an area that we would look to find support. As the price pushes back down into there, we might find some buyers coming through. But I kind of discount, anything that happens these 2 days, you can kind of discount it to a certain extent, because these are not really trading days. Where we ended up on the previous sort of Tuesday is kind of where I would look for support resistance points. So that's really where I would look for initial support bounces or down there today. But just wanted to see where it was going. So I'm going to hold on to that. So I'm flicking about a lot this morning. There's a lot going on. Right, so so CAD yen, Swiss yen, obviously all very, very, very nicely extended. Euro CAD has got very extended to the downside. The euro I'm always short on. I've got the euro Swiss short at the moment. Always short on the euro. Still not got anything going for it. Still no reason why we should be looking for longs on the euro at the moment. With what's going on in the Ukraine, it's highly unlikely that we're going to get any strength coming through on the currency. If the war was to suddenly end for any reason, then yes, potentially you could do. But the first to get dragged into this are going to be the European countries, obviously, if it escalates. So the way the economy is going in Europe at the moment, and with that sitting on their doorstep, we shouldn't be looking for longs. So this is nicely extended to the downside, Euro CAD, but I would be looking more for short opportunities. So literally looking for it to come back up into support resistance areas. Shorts when you get reverse alerts on it, basically. So dropping down to lower time frames and just looking for these shorts and taking those. Euro yen. Again, this is probably the best thing to trade at the moment. The pound yen or the euro yen for shorts. When the yen does power up, these are the ones which are going to come down the hardest. Obviously, the currencies that are currently very, very, very weak. So I just seen what you said, Diamond. Didn't euro go green on the COT? Yeah, it did. But I'm not paying any attention. We'll have a look at the COT in a minute. I'm not really paying any attention to it at the minute though. So, but yeah, there was some interesting changes on the COT. Franco, is Japan the middleman like England is to Europe? Japan's normally safe haven currency. So basically, when we have times of crisis, we normally pump money into the yen. But the yen's not doing very well, obviously, at the moment. So you don't want to pump your money in times of crisis into a currency which is depreciating hard. So that's why I think the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar got the best result out of the Ukrainian situation. They are high commodity, high mineral deposit countries. They've got good exports, and we need materials. Raw materials are in massive demand in times of crisis, and especially if there's times of war, raw materials producing countries tend to do better. So Aussie and New Zealand got the bulk of it, which is why the yen didn't in this case. But it's difficult to tell. To say the yen's nothing in this conflict has gone the way it normally does. All the safe haven currencies haven't benefited. It's just been one of those situations where things have just changed. The whole financial structure, everything has kind of changed with this Ukrainian situation. So everything's a bit different at the minute. So yeah, euro yen, that should be coming down fairly hard when it does. CAD yen, pound CAD rather. Again, pound, we haven't recovered from this Ukrainian drop. It's very difficult to see any strength coming through in the pound at the minute. The pound is struggling a lot. Obviously, against the yen, it's not, but against everything else, we are struggling. We're in a downtrend. So any extensions you get on the pound to the downside, I'd probably ignore. I'd be looking more for RSI extensions to the upside and looking for short opportunities. I'm just going to quickly take some of this profit off. We've got a bit of a push starting. Potentially, we might bank all that actually. No, I'm going to leave the one on. So I'm just covering one of my positions short on the DAX. I've just taken one off. Just covering one. Pound CAD, yeah. So pound CAD basically, we're down at the lows again. But again, as the euro at the minute, I'd be looking for short opportunities. This level here that I had drawn in was where I was looking for a bounce. We didn't even get to it, and it's come down again hard. So we're just in a range at the moment. We have been for a few weeks. It's a very wide, hideous range. We are starting to look like market structure might shift. So we had that big push. We came down. We took liquidity out of that. Then we pushed up and made a new high. Then we've put some nice market structure in, but that has just been invalidated this morning. So it's just a kind of range at the moment. To me, it looks much more like potentially it's forming a flag for a drop, but I would expect the flag to last a hell of a lot longer than that. If it comes down from here and starts breaking new lows, this is very worrying for the pound. It's very, very, very weak. But I certainly wouldn't be looking to long it at the moment. Pound yen would be looking to short that. Same as the euro yen. These are the currencies that are going to benefit the most from this drop. So I'm just seeing some buying pressure coming in. I'm just wondering whether or not we're going to pull back or whether we are trying to push higher. So yeah, pound yen and euro yen would be the two that I would be looking for short opportunities on. But obviously that's based on yen strength, which we haven't got at the moment. So this is the problem with trading as a whole. What we're expecting to happen, we're right on the vast majority of the time. The timing of it is the bit that you cannot do. You cannot time an entry into the market. The market will start to turn and it will go the way it wants to go when it wants to go there. You cannot time when it's going to happen. So the difficulty we have at the moment is, yes, there's a high probability the yen is going to power up, and the best currencies you want to be on are going to be the pound and the euro. But when is it going to happen? So again, you want to be in shorts on these things. Christ, this is really going to be one of those days today. I can see it. I'm just reducing risk on this position. We're pulling back. If we break these highs, I don't want to be in this anymore. So market structure at the moment is looking lovely. This is exactly where I would look for the pullback to start. If we're going to start the next leg down, if we break those highs, that's invalidated. So we could potentially be pushing back up again. So just reducing risk on this. Tough morning today. Sorry, dotting around all over the place today. Pound yen. So yeah, big push up on the pound yen, obviously. Nicely extended, exactly where we'd start to look for pullbacks on this thing. We're putting in a nice doji potentially at the moment. We've still got another hour left on this candle. But this is looking like it's starting to find some indecision. There's equilibrium in the market. The buyers and sellers are agreed. They don't want to go any higher than that at the minute. So if we start to see a push down from here, we're going to be looking to sort of break this zone. And if we can get down below that zone and back down under here, then potentially that could be the start of the shorts. So when we see these big, strong pushes, when we get these big 200 ADR moves in one direction, exactly the same thing as what we had back here, look. Yeah. It was the final flurry. So quite often when you're getting a reversal starting to happen, there's a big push in the opposite direction. Yeah. And then there's an equally as fast move back in the opposite direction. Some people call these railroad tracks. Yeah, like that. So you get this big strong push, which is 200 ADR, 175, 150 ADR, and then an immediate, almost immediate reversal back the other way, and then you get that drop. That's exactly what we had when it looked like the yen was starting to power up previously, and we've just got that move again today. So if we get that big push, I'd be looking for short opportunities on the yen, but I'm not sure how far we would get on it. So they're all sort of teeing up for nice shorts, but equally these things could have another leg in them. So very, very, very difficult. New Zealand dollar CAD, very nicely extended to the downside. That was a symmetrical triangle breakout we looked at. We're just pulling down into potential support resistance at the minute. Very nicely extended, potentially for next leg up. Bloody hell. Excuse my French. It's going to be one of those days where we don't get market structure. It's going to be just whipping up and down, up and down, up and down all over the place. As soon as it starts to look like it's wanting to go into a trend, it reverses back. Just talking about the indices. Stopped out. Christ. Anyway, next. Pound CAD. New Zealand dollar CAD. So very, very nicely extended to the downside. New Zealand dollar's done very, very well. It's had a big, strong drop, as you can see here, down into potential support. We are very extended. This move here, this breakout move to the downside, we didn't really get any recovery off of that. That was the New Zealand dollar rate announcement. It's still very, very weak off the back of that. So I'd be looking for areas of support down here. There's lots of it as well, where we could be getting a bounce from. So this high here is exactly where we are at the moment. Potentially that is where we're going to start to see a pullback. Failing that, there's quite a few lows on the way down that we could run into somewhere around about ADR. So if we do get a big strong push down to ADR today on this one, I think there's probably a nice looking long opportunity on that. We're very nicely extended. We should be looking for some kind of push, but with the New Zealand dollar, when the rate announcement came out, it reacted a lot more negatively than we were expecting. So I think potentially with the New Zealand dollar, we may well go into a bit of a range for a while. A little bit like we did here with this symmetrical triangle. All the time we've got this conflict going on, the market is in sort of turmoil as to whether or not it wants to be going one way or the other. Every currency is doing exactly the same sort of thing at the moment, apart from things like the yen. So we tend to be pushing hard and then range bound, and then pushing and then range bound. So I think we're probably going to find that sort of price action starting on this as well. The Aussie dollar is still strong. The New Zealand dollar has fared slightly less well with the rate announcement. So that rate announcement change that we had was a lot worse than they were anticipating. So I'm looking more for sort of shorts and neutral moves on the New Zealand dollar CAD, I think, moving forward over the next few weeks. So where we are at the moment, definitely looking for long opportunities. But again, you don't want to get too greedy on any of these things at the minute. You want to be looking for potentially that sort of movement. So getting in and out fairly quick on that if you're going to take that as a long. But this could also still come down further. We're not sure whether or not this is the end of the New Zealand dollar drop off the rates. So it could well have a lot more on it. Could turn into the yen for all we know. Nobody knows what's going on with anything at the moment, do they? Get in and out quick. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. We've just taken out the liquidity down here. So this is a lovely little liquidity run. We've got support resistance, which we just tapped straight into. This is a nice area of support. We came down, we took out all the liquidity of everybody that's entered long over the last sort of month. Basically looking for potential long. But obviously the New Zealand dollar at the moment is like that based on the back of the rate announcement, and obviously with just the drop it's had, and against obviously the US dollar, which has had a fairly decent run. If that US dollar run continues, US dollar is going to beat everything, obviously, and that will push this one down further as well. So we're in the middle of a range. Whenever you're looking to take trades, when you're sitting in the middle, you've got a 50-50 chance, haven't you, of it going up or down. So where we are at the moment, more likely going to get a pullback, but that pullback could well be the next leg on this structure to the downside, all the way back down to here. So US dollar at the moment, as I say, we've got no news this week really that is going to drive the US dollar in any direction at all. We've got no fundamental news being released, so it's just going to be the market manipulating and moving it to wherever it fancies taking it. Hopefully we'll get a pushback from the New Zealand dollar and a bit of weakness coming through on the US. So the US has had a fairly decent run, so it's due a little bit of a rest. So this one looks like a lovely little long. We've got a support area, liquidity run. It's just looking like it wants to push, but again, you can't take it too far. ADR really at the moment, anything that moves an ADR in the opposite direction, I'd be worried about. That's where I'd be sort of looking to take profits on anything at the moment. So dropping down onto lower time frames, you had a reversal alert yesterday on that one. Nice little liquidity run there, reversal alert, push up, but where you're going up here, lots of spaces where you can run into traffic, isn't there? Nice accumulation there as well. So we're just going to push. I think I'm out of that. Yeah, I'm out of that. What a nightmare morning. New Zealand dollar CAD. New Zealand dollar US dollar. So that's extended on the 4 hour. Obviously, it's just come out of extension now because it's pushing back up again. US dollar Swiss. Big strong push straight up into resistance. That's why I think we're probably going to get a bit of a rest on the US dollar. We had this big, strong move, accumulation, push up again. We've just tapped up into here. Load of limit orders sitting up there, waiting to push back down again. We've got lovely highs here, which would potentially be where we'd be looking to come back into. By then, the 24 will have caught up as well. So that's where I'd be looking for a pullback and a bit of a rest. So kind of a flag, I think, on the US dollar this week. A little bit of a weakness, but we'll see. So that's what I'm looking for from a US dollar perspective. A little bit of weakness, which is why I think things like the New Zealand dollar, US dollar will probably be able to get that little bit of a push this week. But we'll see. Again, it all comes down to the war, what's going on there, what the US decide to do, whether they decide to bolster shipments of weapons, etc., etc. Whether there's an errant rocket accidentally takes out a convoy on its way, which they've also promised they're going to do as well, the Russians. So, hanging on a knife edge with everything at the minute. But there is no fundamental news on the US this week. So there is an opportunity for the US to be pushed around a little bit by other currencies, and a bit of a flag form. Very nicely extended to the upside. Yeah, so some kind of pullback. But, lots of areas for it to get stuck as it comes down. So anywhere down here, but some kind of short, I think, this week on the US. And US dollar yen, obviously, this is off to the moon. Again, same thing, yen based. We're waiting for the yen. Doesn't matter what happens with the US dollar, we're waiting on the yen. Until we get some strength on that, we don't know. Hourlies, very much similar across the board. All yen based, the vast majority, and the things that we've had extended on the others as well, are extended on the hourlies, on the 4 hours. So the 4 hours and the hourlies looking very, very similar across the board. So yeah, mixed bag. Very difficult to decide what is going on with anything at the moment. Euro Swiss is really the only thing that I've got on, and I'm about to get stopped out on that one, I think. So I've got my stop above the highs here. Pretty much up at ADR today. So if we get a continuation push up to ADR today on that one, I should be stopped out of it. But I'm looking for these highs to hold. Any of these highs really, exactly where we are at the moment. So this area is what I'm looking to hold at the moment, which is this low here. And then next leg down. But having a little bit of a push at the moment. Okay, DAX is pushing up again. This is a horrible chop fest today. So we're pushing back up to the highs. We're basically back to where we started this morning. So all we're doing is we're just taking everybody out today. One of those days. So looking at the COT report. So this is basically, at the moment, I'm not really paying a massive amount of attention to the COT report. It's obviously the long-term view of the market. It's the future. It's the open interest on the futures market. So it tells you where the general market, the main market participants are positioned. At the moment, we got things like that happening, which is the first time we've had a flip long on the euro for nearly a year. And even then, it was like, oh, look, we're going long. No, we're not. So there's nothing really to say that should happen again. That shouldn't happen again, rather. We should be seeing a flip back the other way very, very shortly on that, I think. Guys, got these little artifacts. Can you see these little artifacts on the screen? There's definitely something wrong with my machine this morning. Look at all this. I don't know what all that is. Weird. Anyway, yeah, it's stuck on the browser window. Weird. I'm going to reboot my computer in a minute. So yeah, so we've flipped long on the euro. The pound is a long. It's not. It's collapsing. Everything is back to front on the COT report at the minute, it seems. So New Zealand dollar, there's more shorts come in on that ever so slightly. Aussie dollar, still short. Yen, no change whatsoever. The market is still massively short on the yen. Swiss franc kind of doesn't change. We kind of ignore the Swiss franc most of the time anyway. Canadian, no change. More shorts coming in on the US dollar. And these guys obviously are the bulls at the minute, which both of these are coming down dramatically. So this thing just is not right. There's no real correlation at all. The reason I'm not paying any attention to this is my long-term barometer. The COT report shows me the positioning for the next sort of 4 to 12 weeks from market participants. So the long-term players in the market, which way are they going at the moment? At the minute, there is no such thing as long-term in the market because there's too many other factors influencing it at the minute, which is why I'm not paying any attention to this. So I think these figures really are probably more hedge funds sitting in here at the moment. And hedged money has got nothing to do with speculative money, and speculative money is what moves the market. So I don't think really we can pay any attention to it. As you can see, yeah, the pound is certainly not along at the moment. But you could argue the fact that the market is going long on it because it's waiting for the bounce to happen. So very odd. So commitment of traders report, I'm not paying any attention to that at present. So I'm just watching this fly to the upside. We're just getting up to potential resistance up here. So we've got a breakout to the upside now on the DAX. Oh. Bloody hell. I couldn't get this any more wrong today. If you'd have hit the opposite button to what I've hit today, you'd have made an absolute fortune. This thing is just an utter whipsaw. If you go short now, this thing's going to fly to the upside and put in 300% ADR. You watch. But this is where I want to be shorting it. And I'm going to do so. So going short one on the DAX up there. Oh, I've gone short too. I was trying to actually get another position on. Didn't want to get in quite that quick up there, but I did. So just watching these highs basically here, which is these lows over here. So if we're going to continue down from yesterday's price action, basically, this is all algorithmic yesterday. The movement we had in the market yesterday is virtually all algorithmic. So I'm just looking at where they were working yesterday. So somewhere up here, I think we should start to see the market start to short. Just under a minute left on that candle, but some nice rejection starting to show there. Looking at the DAX, we just broke above the opening range. How long after the open do we still consider this an opening range breakout? I wouldn't play an opening range breakout. That's why I turned the EA off. The EA was set to auto trade the opening range breakout. I wouldn't play an opening range breakout that wide. It's too big. This candle today was just a dump of orders. It's just not proper price action today. Don't forget, we got 4 days worth of built up stock positions. So the market at the moment is just executing orders. What I was looking for and what I was hoping for today was a nice trend day. Considering the fact we've been stuck in a range for the last week, I was hoping that the institutions would have a nice load of positions, short or long, to dump into the market in batches and get a trend day in. But what we have had is just utter spiky, chaotic mess. It looked like it was starting to trend, and now we've completely reversed it. So it's just a mess today. But that's obviously the high of the session. So I'm looking for this to be a hideously wide range, sort of slow trend today. So playing it back down to the lows. But I'll get out if we push up too hard. That's too high. I'm not going to put that much risk on the table on this at the moment today. If we break those highs, I'm wrong. If I get it wrong 3 or 4 times at the open, I'm done for the morning. It's too dangerous. Can't quite figure out which way any of these markets are going today. They all look short still. If you look at the S&P and the Nasdaq and the DAX, everything, it's all still short at the moment. But very, very big, strong push, and I don't like this. So I need these highs to hold, really. If we start pushing up back above those sorts of levels on any of the other indices, be looking to jump out. But much more shorts coming on the US indices than anything else at the minute. Very short US indices. Yes, you can see the artifacts of the pen. Yeah, they've gone now. Look. I know they've come back and they've moved to a different place. Look. This is something on Windows. Don't know what it is. I'm up a small amount, not a fortune, but I'm far more timid than me. Yeah. It's not a bad thing to be far more timid than me, you know. I'm getting out of these. Just moving my stops. I'm wrong on this again. Getting out. Okay, I'm going to have to stop trading because I've done 1,800 down now on the funded account, so I'm going to have to stop for the day. Can't take any more loss. Account is blown. Badoo. Unless that double top holds, obviously, then I'm fine. If that double top doesn't hold, which doesn't look like it is, I'm going to have to stop. So the problem with these funded accounts, you can't trade them properly. They put too many restrictions on you. Like, if I see the best setup in the world now this afternoon that could make me 10 million quid, I can't take it because no, you've made 8.5 grand in the last 2 weeks, but no, you're 2 grand down today, so you can't trade anymore. It's not how it works, is it? If I am not allowed to take that trade because I've hit a 2k limit that they've set me, in real life, I'm going to take that because it's the best setup in the world, but they won't let you take it. This is the problem with all of these prop firms, the restrictions. This isn't how it works in the real world. If you're a trader, you see an opportunity, you take it. If you miss that trade, that is the one that would have made you all your month's profit, just because there was a rule in place that said you can't trade that one because you've done this, you're stuffed, aren't you? Too many rules. But we'll see. I'm not out yet. If this double top holds, I'm all right. And I'm targeting these lows, but getting close today, unfortunately. Anybody got any other pairs they want to have a look at? I'm not going to go through all the FX pairs at the moment because, I mean, a lot of these FX pairs at the minute, we are just we're range bound on a lot of stuff at the moment. Multiple week sort of sideways price action. So at the minute, the best plays on everything seems to be support resistance. RSI's a little bit less effective at the minute because we're not seeing normal profit taking and mean reversion happening. But across the board, it's kind of shorting the euro, shorting the pound. The US dollar is range bound. So it's a case of waiting for it to push. So the US dollar actually is probably one of the ones at the moment where you are probably better. It's a better use of the RSI because the US dollar is still having decent movement up and down. But everything else is Swiss franc is neutral. Aussie is strong. New Zealand is strong. Pound is weak. Euro is weak. Yen is obviously about to go bankrupt. But if you've got any other pairs you want to have a look at, let me know. Otherwise, I should go and cry this morning, and hopefully this will just collapse now. But otherwise, I'm just going to have to go and cry and do something else. There's a small bug with the EA which I've just got fixed. Well, I'm not. I'm just in the process of fixing, rolling out at the moment. For those of you that have spotted it. There's certain conditions it's taking shorts and it's not paying any attention to the distance between trades. So I've found out where it is. I'm just trying to upload it to MQL5, but MQL5 at the moment, for some reason, doesn't want to let me upload the EA for some reason. Keeps having validation errors, which is a little bit annoying. Just trying to upload it again. What? Okay. I'll be back on this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Sorry, no, I won't. At 2:20. And we'll basically have a look at the US markets. But this morning's play basically is I'm just going to keep watching this DAX. I'm kind of on the verge of giving up for the day at the moment, but play for the morning is that short. If I can get that short held, if this high, this M pattern holds up here, which is hopefully going to do, I'll be all right. Other than that, if we break these highs on my funded account anyway, I'm going to have to be done for the day because I'll have hit almost the daily loss limit. But that's the kind of short play for this morning. Back down to these lows. And I'm going to assume that we are not really going to have any directional bias today, and we're going to have another one of those horrible rotational days. But we'll see what happens. The US markets certainly seem very, very heavy this morning. But obviously they are also very whipsawy. So we'll see what happens with them this afternoon. But again, no news today. So from a trading perspective today, for this week, it's a case of just watching market, watching price action, watching support and resistance levels, and just waiting for reversal alerts really across multiple time frames. We've got CAD tomorrow to watch out for. We've got New Zealand. We've only got talking heads on Thursday, and then Friday we've got all these PMIs. So PMIs and retail sales across the board on Friday. So probably the busiest day is going to be Friday this week. From a spike perspective for the lower time frames, but everything else, we're just waiting for some yens, really, aren't we? But we'll see. My Euro Swiss trade is stuck at the minute. So again, we're in this range. I've been in this range since we got into this trade. So my stop is above the highs up here somewhere, not far above there. So I'm looking for shorts on the Euro Swiss. That's the only FX trade I've got on at the moment. I'm not putting any more FX on today. I'm going to wait and see what happens today, where the market decides to go. And that might give us some indication as to where we're going for the week. But so far, obviously, for this week, so far, first day of the week, obviously, proper, it's all about the yen. And the yen is not the thing that I really want to short at the minute. So waiting to see. Okay, so if you've got anything you need, come into the Telegram group. I will be in there, and we will be watching the DAX this morning. Well, I will be watching the DAX this morning, hoping that we get that short play. Other than that, I'm not going to take any more trades this morning. I'm just going to let this one play out, hopefully, and get that short in. If that doesn't hold, then I'm going to sit on the sidelines for the morning and just wait for the market to unfold, and then try and get some of these losses back this afternoon during the New York session. All right, guys, so I'll be back at 2:20 this afternoon. Anything else you need, come into the Telegram group. Other than that, don't eat any more chocolate if you've got any left over. I will see you this afternoon at 2:20. Have a good morning.